very much, and good evening. Thanks for being here. We're really glad that the snow came Friday and not today. How about another well-deserved round of applause for the Saxophone Quartet and the Flute Choir. And also a special round of applause for my friend, colleague, and our adjunct flute instructor, Susan Jackson, who is the coach of the flute choir. She's here, I think somewhere in the back, so let's hear it for Susan. So you notice on your program, on the top it says Wind Band Concert, and I actually thought quite a bit about what to title this program. And I decided on Wind Band Concert because saxophone quartet, wind instruments, flute choir, wind instruments. This group here that will be premiering Crossings is a subset of the concert band. It's one player per part, wind ensemble. And then concert band, the full group of 70 players. So wind, band, concert. Very specifically named that for that reason. That said, and Ian Wiese, our featured composer, and we talked about this. It could have been another name. That was the one to go with, but I want to just share this with you. I've always said that it's a small world and the musical world is smaller. It could have been NEC, New England Conservatory Music, NEC meets WPI. Susan and I studied at New England Conservatory at the same time. We're talking back in the late 80s, okay? Another friend of mine, another composer and an NEC alum, Michael Weinstein, at last spring, I talked to him about this idea about commissioning and what I was thinking about, and he said, I know the perfect composer for you. And Michael is an alum of New England Conservatory, not when I was here, before I was here. And he said, Ian Wiese. And Ian, as you can tell in your program, is finishing his doctoral studies at New England Conservatory Music. Right? So again, NEC meets WPI. There's some more connections that I'll talk about as the program goes on. But I do want to say something about this piece because it's so special to have a piece commissioned for your school. And I thank WPI for making that possible. And what's extra special about this experience was that I invited Ian to come to campus this past fall semester, so he could hear the players, so he could hear the colors, the timbre of all the instruments, meet the players, hear the players that he was going to compose for. And we had a Q&A session as well. And he was very open to some ideas. For instance, one suggestion I had, and it's mentioned in your program notes from Ian's quote. I said, do you think you maybe can think a little bit of jazz, maybe a little bit of Gershwin, because I thought the students would relate to that well. He did. Tommy Nealon has a piccolo trumpet and a B-flat trumpet, and he said, do you think you could write a piece, hold them both up so they see that. He said, do you think you could write a part for piccolo trumpet? I have just piccolo trumpet, but I don't have a venue for it. We asked him, he wrote a piece for Tommy for piccolo trumpet. We have some members in here, Tommy's one of them, that play in the stage band. So I said, do you think we could include some type of improvisation spot for a couple of the players? He did that, right? So Tommy, you'll hear that, Tommy and Nate, who you heard in the saxophone quartet. And it's so neat because to me it's like Igor Stravinsky meets George Gershwin meets Chick Corea, because there's a Latin section in here as well. And it, in a way, parallels to me bebop, you know, a genre of jazz, because those of you that don't know bebop jazz music is not intended to dance to, because it's really fast. I mean, really fast. And the harmony and chord progressions change so rapidly. It's really like an active, cerebral audience experience. You can't be passive. And that's what this reminds me of. Actually, I meant to count how many meter changes there are in here. I didn't quite get. Do you know how many exactly?
There's about 50 or so meter changes.
Oh, I think there's probably like more like 100, or it seems to be. But so when we were rehearsing this, I mean, I could tell, myself included, it was a cognitive workout, you know. In that sense too, I think there's something for everybody in this piece. And before we play it, I would like to invite Ian would like to share some thoughts from the composer's pen. So please welcome Ian up.
It's funny, actually, a lot of the points that I was going to make, Mitch already had seemed to address. But one of the things that I wanted to mention about this piece, when I was in my undergrad at Ithaca College, I had listened to a lot and played a lot of the music of a composer out of Michigan named Michael Dougherty. Now, for anyone in the wind band world, you might have heard that name, maybe not, but he is a prominent composer within the wind band space, especially with pop culture ideas. Like, he wrote a whole piece about what's called Lost Vegas, which is a pastiche and remembrance of what Las Vegas used to be. Or a piece about Niagara Falls, where it's all about the kitschy stuff that goes on along the side, like all haunted houses, mazes, museums, the casinos, not the actual falls itself. His music became so inspiring to me, especially with this piece, because as Mitch said, there was the combination of Stravinsky meets Gershwin meets Chick Corea. I would probably also mix in meets Michael Dougherty. If you know his music, if you listen to that stuff, it probably will make a lot of sense. I wanted to talk a little more, but as I said, he addressed a lot of my points. So I hope you enjoy it, and I thank all them extensively for everything that they've done with this piece. It was a big challenge, and they've lived up to it.
Yeah, he's been with us in rehearsals too, so he's been with us all along. So we thank you too. It's a real special opportunity to present a world premiere.
It's a special opportunity to be commissioned by an ensemble such as this and write a new piece that's going to go out into the world like this.
We'll tune again in a second, but just there are a couple other things, a couple other points I did want to mention. One is, I've had the opportunity to hear Mick on euphonium in like a solo recital setting, and also I've heard Lazzie play some solo piano. And I told Ian, I said, listen, man, when it comes to euphonium and piano, I said, you can write anything you want, and he did. You'll hear it. And you'll hear tuba solo. I mean, I told the students the other day, I said, I said, the good news is you're all soloists. It's one on a part. The other news is you're all soloists. It's all one on a part. And certainly I want to mention, and it's printed right on the front of the score. It says commissioned by Worcester Polytechnic Institute Wind Ensemble, Mitchellette conductor, dedicated to the WPI Symphonic Association. You met Darren Quee at the outside of the concert. He's the current president of the Symphonic Association. It's a student organization. This Symphonic Association represents and supports the concert band, the orchestra, and the brass ensemble. Those students work tirelessly to support us. in both their work, their organization, and their musicianship. And there was no question when this commission was given the go-ahead where that dedication belonged, and it's to the WPI Symphonic Association. So can we please give them a round of applause? Okay, so I'm going to have them tune. I'm going to actually move this out of the way. I don't use this actually on this piece. So, Liza, another B flat, please. Zephyr said she counted, there's 137 meter changes. And we're not just talking 3/4, 2/4, 4/4. Those are all in there. 3/8, 5/8, 7/8, and several others. So we're very proud now to present the premiere of Crossings by Ian Wiese. thinking as we were playing, and I just want to add this. I mentioned to them that their ears were going to be stretched harmonically, especially with the influence of Stravinsky. And to be open to that and to embrace those changes, those differences, those new sonorities, and they did. And in fact, Indy said at the end of the last verse, she goes, I always grow when I play music that I've never seen before. She said, but not like this, not to this degree. And they've grown an awful lot, and I congratulate them for embracing this wonderful piece of music. And you all deserve to take a bow. Have a little bit of a set change for the full concert band. Will be right with you. So you have to add a couple of those chairs to the back. The rest of the concert band, come on in, come on up. Okay, so Leonard Bernstein, to my knowledge, he didn't have any direct ties to NEC, but he does or did have 2 direct ties to Massachusetts. Does anybody know what one of them was?
He played at NEC Prep, actually.
Did he? He played at NEC Preparatory School. Okay.
Did he grow up in Lawrence?
He was born in Lawrence, Massachusetts.
Born in Tanglewood?
And Tanglewood, yeah. Every summer he would come to Tanglewood and teach and conduct the Tanglewood Festival. And one story I heard about him, and the more you read about Bernstein, I can picture this being true, that when he was growing up in Lawrence, and he was studying piano, and he would walk by a neighbor's house in the spring, and she had this big window open, and she was practicing, I don't know which classical or romantic piano piece, and Bernstein would hear her practicing every day, and there was a certain chord that wasn't correct. And I guess it was bugging him so much, and he knew the neighbor, that he went up on the porch, climbed in through the window, asked her to move down on the bench a little bit, played the progression. He goes, that's how it goes now. You got it? And then went back out the window. Sounds like something Bernstein would have done. So here's his overture to Candide. So back to the NEC meets WPI. This next piece, Reminiscence by Kathryn Salfelder. Kathryn is a composition professor at New England Conservatory. And this piece was one of 3 that were commissioned for the 85th birthday of Frank Battisti, who is the conductor emeritus of the NEC Wind Ensemble, which he founded in 1969 and conducted for 30 years to 1999. In fact, one of his biggest legacies is how many composers he has commissioned to write for the Wind Ensemble, where before they hadn't, including Pulitzer Prize winning composer Michael Colgrass, who we lost not too long ago. Because a lot of these composers thought, well, do you want a march? Is that what you want? And Frank said, it's a clean slate. Here are the instruments, here are the colors. You can be as long, as short as you want, any amount of movements, etc. And composers aren't used to getting that with orchestras. Maybe a couple rehearsals, concert, that's it. So back when Frank turned 70, another one of his former students at New England Conservatory, Fred Harris, who's now the director of the Wind Ensemble and Jazz program at MIT, another 3-letter institution, got a consortium of many schools together to commission, it was 4 pieces at that time, 4 composers to honor Frank's 70th birthday. And it was when it was coming up 15 years later towards his 85th, I called Fred, because Fred's an NEC alum, and a friend of mine. I said, Fred, why don't we do it again for Frank? And get a whole consortium of schools together and 3 pieces. And this is one of them. And the students don't know this, by the way, but I did email Fred Harris. I don't know how many of you have been to their campus, the Kresge Auditorium. It's a beautiful auditorium. Trying to set up like a mutual exchange where we go and perform with MIT, and then they come and perform with us. I haven't heard back from Fred, but I planted the seed. It's a beautiful, beautiful piece, and we hope you enjoy Kathryn Salfelder's Reminiscence. So Ian, unless you know of any NEC ties of Vaughan Williams, I don't think so, to NEC. So Vaughan Williams, a British composer. So we read it as Ralph, but in Britain, anybody? Rafe Vaughan Williams. And just want to mention, it's in your program notes, but one very special note about this piece is, you know, there are a lot of classic orchestral compositions that have been transcribed for wind band, like we heard earlier with Bernstein's Overture Candide, transcribed by Clare Grundman. This reverses that trend. This was first written for wind band, later transcribed for orchestra. Rafe Vaughan Williams, English folk song suite. introduce our last piece on behalf of all of us here at WPI performing tonight. We want to thank you so much for coming out. We know Sunday night, 7 p.m., not the best time, but I shared with the students, I had a plan strategically because the women's basketball team had been doing so well in the playoffs. If they reached the championship, they would have played this afternoon. And we have a lot of students in the pep band. So that would have been a good mix. So I had planned accordingly. They got all the way until Friday night. They had a great season. So really, it's so nice to have such an enthusiastic, large audience on Sunday night. And I appreciate that. And I extra appreciate the students and their stick-to-itiveness and their conscientious focus, because as all the parents know, their finals for C-term start tomorrow. So I can't tell you how proud I am of all of you and how appreciative I am. And it's a pleasure. I said to one of the parents after our last concert, because of them, this is not a job. You take away the B and you add a Y. It's a joy. So can you join me in thanking them? So, themes from Green Bushes. There's a very particular reason why I programmed this back-to-back after English Folk Song Suite. And it's mentioned in the program notes a little bit, but I want you to hear it as well. That from the second movement of English Folk Song Suite, it was mostly slow, but then it went into this, in the minuet, into this little dance in one beat per bar. Can we play that? Take that back out, and right where it's, was it poco lego? Because there's a tie between that and what you're about to hear. Let's just play a little bit of that, okay? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, go. And that folk song found its way into some other folk songs, that being themes from Green Bushes. Can we play the beginning tuba section? They're not used to getting the melody. And the other bass instruments that have it, woodwind, whoever's playing at the beginning. So remember what you just heard, okay? Here we go. 2 beats. 1, 2. Hear it? How about that, huh? So it's basically a theme and variation. You'll hear that traded all throughout the ensemble. Everybody gets a crack at it. So we hope you enjoy Themes from Green Bushes.